I've got a lot of plumbing to do for this new pressure washer, and I'm hoping these guys can explain the details of what I need. 340,000 BTU. I think I'm going to want this exhausted straight out of the roof. I don't think I'm going to want this left in my attic.
We've got your draft diverter here. This is going to go 36 inches at least above, so usually about one stick above the coil there.
The damper is above that?
Yes, correct. So the damper, as you can kind of see, more in line, up somewhere in the flue, and then it will automatically close and shut, so you don't have...
Pretty good seal the way it's made.
Yeah.
Still, it's going to be a hole in my nice, insulated, tight envelope, but we won't be able to help that.
Burner switch, chemical switch. And that is what is tied into this hose here. Okay. So for the high pressure soap, like your basic soap wash, not very aggressive stuff, that's what you'd want to run through the pump. Anything more aggressive, heavy degreaser, stuff like that, then we can do the downstream option where you turn the handle and it'll start pulling soap. So you'll have two ways of pulling soap on this.
Oh, that is so handy.
Got your unloader valve there. That's kind of the workhorse of your machine. That's what's sending all your water back to the head of the pump. So when you let go of the gun and it's still running, that water has to go somewhere. So your unloader valve is what sends that water back. And then after approximately 15 seconds or so, your timer is going to shut everything down. So it's going to be in standby mode. And as soon as you squeeze the trigger, boom, everything kicks back on.
So I can walk off without damaging it?
Yes, 100%. If you leave this in standby mode for 4 hours or longer, it'll shut down completely. Then you'd have to come and turn it on by the switch again. And that's just to keep you from, if you popped a hose in the middle of the night,
keep it from running forever.
Keep you from walking out here and seeing the machine running and water everywhere. That's your soap valve. A lot of folks will leave that wide open, and then inside of that line, we'll put a metering tip in there. So that way you're guaranteed the same dilution every time. And you don't want to have to keep running back up and down the ladder to adjust.
So you leave this wide open.
Leave that wide open, but you're metered
special tip
through a tip in the line, correct. And there's your little chemical solenoid valve right there.
Okay, so that's what I use to enable or disable it from the, okay.
We've got you set up with a dual lance wand, and instead of having to swap tips out every time, you can lower the pressure by turning the handle, which allows water to come out this second nozzle here. So it's just like putting a black tip in. Instead
all I have to do is rotate the handle
all you have to do.
Turn soap on and off.
And it'll start, your downstream will start pulling soap.
Beautiful.
That's if you're using the downstream, which you've got the high pressure soap.
Which I wouldn't use that. I'll get that sorted. It just will take me a little while.
But that's also handy for dropping your pressure down, and if you're getting in close with something.
Buy a sticker.
Sticker, a radiator, a window seal, something, a little more sensitive, you can drop that pressure down and have a hot rinse. And then go right back to full pressure when you get where you need to be.
Okay, we ready? Now this thing weighs 724 pounds or something like that?
Every bit of that probably. I'd have to look and see the exact weight, but yeah, that sounds about accurate. Self-resetting safety pop-off valve, and what this is for, obviously if it exceeds pressure, or if the unfortunate event a pressure switch sticks and the heat stays on while you're not spraying water, well then you've essentially made a boiler. That pressure's got to go somewhere. This is going to release and dump all that pressure underneath the machine. If that happens, turn that burner off, keep the cold water moving through the machine, and give me a call. And we will make sure whatever's causing that gets addressed.
And then this is where...
So we just put a plug on there. We didn't want water, so the antifreeze that's in here sloshing around and making a mess on here, so it's just plugged for the moment. But yes, that is the exit of the pressure washer there. That's where we would end up teeing off right here. One would go to the hose reel over there, the other would go to the hose reel underneath the mezzanine. Are you wanting to stay to the right of that truss right there?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
It's trying to get you as close between that beam as I can. Right there's probably good.
I like it, Matt. Now I've got to do something to get this hot exhaust out of here. What are we going to do on that?
Well, you have to have the draft diverter. You've got your dampener to keep cold air from coming down to it. The draft diverter needs to be at least 36 inches above the coil. You're roughly, what, 4.5 feet?
We're about 45 inches, so 3.5 feet, not quite 4.
So that doesn't give us much room for both.
Now that diverter, that allows air to come into the enclosed space here. I'd love to have that outside of our insulation envelope if we can do that. Can we put it above the ceiling here where I'm gonna have insulation?
I don't see why we can't do that.
And then we'll have the damper in here somewhere.
Yeah, you can put the dampener anywhere in there. All that's gonna do is just keep that cold air from coming in.
So I'm gonna have a cold air return on my HVAC that's gotta come in here somewhere. Okay. So can I slope this a little bit one way or the other to get around that return?
You can, or you can use a 45-degree elbow.
Oh, one of those cool elbows that
is
is any degree, basically.
Yeah, you can pivot it to fit it anywhere you need it to go. You just don't want to use a 90-degree.
If I use a 90, I'm reducing the ability to
draft. It will not draft properly.
Okay, and this is an 8-inch pipe here, and then, but I can't penetrate that with a straight 8-inch pipe, right?
You need to use a double wall B-vent. That gives you a little extra heat protection going through your ceiling and your roof.
I can come out of here single wall, but I need to convert to double wall somewhere up here
before
before
you
I go
through.
So maybe if I can put that damper pretty close here, then I could convert to double wall, whichever way I'm going, and then I should be able to run my return vent right beside that. It should even be able to be tied up to it because there's not going to be any real heat. So we got water coming in here.
Okay.
You guys are going to figure that out, right?
Yeah. Are you going to have a spigot somewhere on here, or?
That was the thinking, was that I would put a spigot on the wall here.
Okay.
That I could just turn on and off, just a regular, maybe a quarter turn valve, or maybe a ball. I don't exactly know what kind of valve, but it looks like just a water hose we're going to have between there, right?
Yep.
I think you have some special water hose that's maybe a little more reliable.
We can make up a line that it's going to be a heavy duty poly braid type of hose.
Okay, and then I've got my electric. I've got 6-3 wire here. 50 amp is what I intended to run the actual motor. And I intend to just put an outlet.
Okay.
Like one of those 1450s or whatever outlets. And you'll just have a little pigtail then?
Yeah, we can run a pigtail onto the box there, and just put a plug on it, plug right into the wall.
And that's all there is to it. Now, am I gonna have to worry about this thing? We've got a little bit of slope intentionally on this shelf I've got here. Am I gonna have to worry about this thing bouncing its way off?
I would probably put some anchor bolts in, anchor it to the floor. That way, that kind of gives you a little sense of security there.
I could probably even use the same lags that came in the pallet.
Yeah, I don't see why you couldn't do that.
You don't think we need to level it up?
I don't think so. It's pretty good right there. I've seen them in a lot worse shape than that.
So there's no rule that it has to be perfectly level?
No.
Because it's not. I mean, you can visually see that.
You've got a float tank in there, but it's low enough that it's not going to run over.
You know, my most serious question is whether you're going to be able to walk around there, or are you a permanent fixture on my shop now?
Well,
He's clocked in forever.
Yeah.
I think he is.
I'm not big on heights.
But the shelf itself's not bothering you, is it?
No.
It's good. You know, I mean, we're able to balance it a little bit, but I think it's gonna hold fine.
Oh yeah.
Jeremy, what I think I want is like a retractable hose reel. And I think I want one kind of in the middle of the Hotsy house here, both ways, right on both sides.
Yep.
One thing I get irritated about is when I'm going around a piece of equipment and I get the hose caught on a front tire or a back
Nothing worse than
tire.
snagging, yes sir.
So with this approach, I think you actually came up with the idea, but with this approach, I could hose one side off, set this one down, and if I did go get the other side, just go get the other one.
You're not tangling up hoses, you're not getting caught in the wheels and creases of your equipment. So that would make the most sense, be the most efficient.
Should I put them low? Should I put them high? What are you?
So if you put them a little lower, you're going to take up some of your usable space. So putting them up a little higher is going to keep you a little bit more of a working area in here, so you're not bumping into it as much. And being retractable, You don't have to worry about reaching up high to reel them up.
So I'm not gonna have to reach the hose reel, so
No.
I could put it all the way up
You
because
can
the
put it all
wand
the
will be
way-
down. Oh, and it's got that ball on it, right?
Bingo. Yep, that will stop your hose, so we can have the wand holder and your gun sitting down low and have approximately, 4 foot of extra hose here before you get to your hose reel. So yeah, you never really even have to get to your hose reel being a retractable like that.
So let's plan on that. Let's put the hose reel right up here in the middle somewhere, and probably on the other side do kind of the same thing.
Would make great sense there.
Now my difficult question is, how do I get the water to this? I mean, I've done some research. I know I can't use PEX or PVC, right? I mean, that I'd bust that to pieces with this high pressure. We're talking up to 3,000 PSI,
Yep.
right? And some of this stainless stuff.
Is outrageously expensive. You got a couple options to go over. This side here may not be as difficult, but to make over to your other hose reel here, you got a couple options. Obviously, stainless steel would be the number one option to do. Schedule 80 would be your second option. And then the third option would be the easiest, quickest solution to run high pressure hose over to that. The only downfall with that is the potential of a hose popping. So if we went that route, you would want some kind of conduit, 2-inch PVC, something that you could snake that hose through to make it easier to replace if it did potentially pop on you. Then you could still seal in with insulation on that PVC, but that's the options you got right now on the 3 ways to supply water to your hose reel.
So stainless is outrageously expensive. It probably is the commercial way of handling this. Galvanized, from what I read, it's not rated for it, but you're saying that you guys have used this successfully for years.
Action's been in business 50 years now, and that has been what we've used in many installs. It doesn't rust up like black iron would. That's really the main thing. You don't want it to rust out. We've used galvanized Schedule 80 many, many times, so it does work.
Now my challenge is I did a little bit of research on this and I'm having trouble finding Schedule 80 like at Menards or somewhere like that. So I'm gonna have to go to a pipe supply place, and that's probably gonna cost me a little bit more too, right? The margins are gonna be a little bit higher at a place like that. So you're saying the other option would be to put it in, kind of encase it in a larger PVC. So
Yep.
the PVC wouldn't be used for the actual water pressure. It's just used as a chase,
As
basically.
a conduit, yeah.
I'm gonna spray foam around this thing to keep it from freezing. If I had a leak, then 2 things. It's easy to replace the hose, but it's also that leak's gonna be contained.
The leak will be contained, but it will find its way out one way or another.
Well, it'll be down here. We'll just have to make sure that water can get out and won't hurt if it gets out.
And if you did, like you said, that would be one telltale sign, but also with your machine having auto start stop, if you had a high pressure leak in your hose, it will end up, once it bleeds off enough, it'll kick your machine on. So if you notice your machine's kicking on for no reason, it's like, what's going on? And you do notice a little bit of water over here, we've probably got a hole in the hose up top.
Do you think I'm gonna have trouble with if I use a high pressure hose like that?
I've got a lot of customers that do it that way. It's a quick, simple fix. You know, it allows you to get it done quickly and it doesn't cost as much to do it that way. But again, stainless steel would be the route to go, or even galvanized. You just lose that potential of popping that hose. That's really the only downfall of doing the pressure hose over that way, is that potential of a leak. But it will work. And how long it'll work, it could be many, many years. And especially sitting inside of that PVC or whatever size conduit you use, it's not rubbing, it's not got any sharp edges, so the chances of it popping are pretty slim, but there is that potential.
I'm liking that idea the best. I think it's the most cost effective. I think I can spray foam around that PVC conduit. I'd probably go with like a 2-inch.
Yeah.
Hey, let me know in the comments what you think about that idea. I mean, what would you do? Would you spring for the stainless? Would you go with galvanized pipe? Would you do the rubber pressurized hose? Yeah, just let me know. I want to hear your feedback. I really appreciate it. You guys have been great, and we got me set up in the Hotsy house. I'm excited about this. I think this is going to be special, but you're going to be back.
We will be back plenty of times until it is up to the way you like it and 100%. And it'll be the one of only Hotsy houses that is in the United States.
I will tell you that no, we're not going to have to get all the way up there to turn it on, but you'll have to wait for that for the next episode. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim. Come near to God, and he will come near to you. Wash your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded.
Always curious. Why are you guys up there, it says. I know, I'm up here, and you want to get up here. Yeah, we're up here. You'd have to climb the Oh. You made it up here.
Hey, this